Hey, what's up? Kris Krohn here. I'm in Florida enjoying the beach and the pool with my family, and I'm enjoying spending a little bit of time with you as well. In fact, one of the reasons why I travel so much and can enjoy the life that I do is because of my investing strategy. In fact, one of my favorite strategies is investing in companies that are moonshots. These are companies that can go to the moon and back. And you know what? When they experience an exit, it means there's a huge windfall of cash that comes my way. Today, I'm going to share with you my strategies on how you can invest a very small amount of money, like dozens of dollars to hundreds of dollars or maybe thousands, and potentially turn them into crazy amounts.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Man, don't you sometimes wish that you had the power to go back in time and invest in companies that were really small then, that ended up becoming something really big later? Like, imagine when Elon Musk was invested in PayPal at its early days, or what about Tesla before it took off, or Bill Gates with Microsoft, or Netflix, right? Can you imagine people used to go to the store and rent DVDs?
Just promise me you'll rent it and listen to it.
Renting.
Thank you. It changed my world.
And it's like, wow, if you knew that was going to become a premier global streaming service, those early investors, if you had just put in $1,000 there, you could have turned it into hundreds of thousands of dollars. Those companies are called moonshots. All right, let's talk about what a moonshot is. It's an ambitious exploratory project that possesses little expectation of short-term profitability. In the long term, however, 5, 7, 10 years, there's a clear expectation of at least a 5,000 or a 10,000% ROI because the company increases 100 times in value. And I want you to think about that, right? There are these companies that are going to become the next thing in the future. They're going to be the next biggest thing. And if you knew what they were, if you had a 5-step system, if you had a mentor that could teach you 5 ways of finding them, then if you landed right with a couple of them, it could change anything, everything for your future. So let's talk about the math of a moonshot. Like, imagine for a moment that you had $500 and you were going to take $100 and you're going to put it in one potential moonshot and 100 in another, 100 in another, 100 in another, and 100 in another. So here's your $100, $200, $300, $400, $500. So you were going to say, I'm going to split up my odds against 5 different companies. Well, now just assume for a moment that 4 of the 5 fail. Let's say they go entirely to zero. You've lost $400. But on this one, let's just say that it booms and it goes up 5-fold and you get a 500% return on your money. Well, on that one deal alone, you recovered all your losses. In the real world, we're not going for a 500% return. We're going for a 5,000, a 10,000, or a 20,000% ROI. And that means that you can lose a majority of the time, win a handful of times, and absolutely crush it. So the first step is to look for very disruptive companies. You remember 2008, that recession? What came out of that? Airbnb.
The iconic house from Bel Air will soon be available on Airbnb.
Bam! Within a few short years, without owning a single hotel, they became the largest hotel controller in the world. They surpassed Marriott with over a $30 billion valuation. How did they do that without owning any real estate? Or think about what Uber did. They took over the entire taxi market, yet they don't own a single taxi. So disruption is when a company finds a virtual and a superior, or with technology, a better way of doing things. Right now, the entire world is being remade. People are implementing technology to enhance, create greater convenience. But some of those conveniences are so massive, it's creating disruption. And that disruption means that for you and I, if we can find a way to invest in these companies, if we can find them on the stock exchange when they're little babies and they go through the roof, then your exit strategy is already built in. It goes up in value, you sell it, you make a grundle of money. And so that first step is you got to put your ear to the ground and just start asking, who's messing with other people's spaces? Who's bringing disruption? And you start researching them. The second step is to select these companies carefully. So you're going to do research on 15 of them. Might take months, even a couple of years to get all 15 picked out. But what you're doing is you're lowering your risk by saying, instead of I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket and bet on one company that could go huge, I'm going to invest in no less than 15 different companies. And so you might look for something in transportation with automated truck driving. You might look for something in biomed where someone has advanced to the cure for some disease. You might get interested in some other industry that you have interest in, right? I mean, cryptos and NFTs and all these interesting things that are happening right now. Who's disrupting the space? Investigate those companies, step one, right? You research them, but then step two is you pick them and you take a 15th of the money set aside and you make your investment. Step three is when you're ready to make your investment, you make the investment yourself. You don't have to go through a financial planner. You don't have to go through a broker, right? There's Robinhood and TD Ameritrade, Thinkorswim. There's these online apps that you can download for free, and you can put your money in them, and you can take a 15th of that money set aside for this one strategy, and you can actually make these investments into these companies that are currently publicly traded that you believe have the ability to grow up 100 times in value. And obviously, very few of them will, but that's okay. The strategy still works if only a handful of them do. The fourth step, you have to commit to your plan. Remember, this is not the kind of investing where you make your investment today and then every day you check. Did it go up? Did it go up? It's going to go up. It's going to go down. And even for a few years might literally do nothing. So this is one of those things where you have to make a long-term commitment. That's how this strategy works. It's not day trading. It's not crypto trading. This is about carefully picking 15 companies that over the next 5, 7, 10 years have a chance to massively have impact, massively go up in value, and represent the future of tomorrow. Well, wait a second, Kris. So if I set this whole strategy in motion, then what am I supposed to do? Well, you're not supposed to really do anything. It's a passive strategy. But the fifth step is every year you should do an annual review to rebalance the budget. And what that means is you might look at your 15 picks at the end of the year and find out that one of them went bust, or another company got selected, or it just didn't get traction. You can liquidate what's left of that investment because it's not like it lost its value. It's not going anywhere. And then you can say, wow, looks like I need to find a new 15th company. That's that rebalancing process every year of just looking at your portfolio that you have and asking, does 1, 2, or 3 of these need to be swapped out? But the majority of them, you should just be waiting and tracking and seeing what's happening in those industries. All right, let's take these 5 steps and let's see what it actually looks like. I've got 15 investments. I put 1,000 into each one of them, let's just say, so a total of 15 grand. And let's see what happens after 5 years. Well, let's just say that 12 investments either fail or go nowhere, but 3 of them win and they actually have 100x growth. Well, over 5 years on those 3 $1,000 investments, if they went up each $100,000, that's $300,000 that my total $15,000 investment grew to. 300 grand divided by my total investment of 15,000 equals a total ROI of $2,000. And if you divide that by the 5 years it took to get there, I'm averaging 400% annual ROI. Now, let's put that in perspective. You realize that your 401k or IRAs are growing at 5 or 6% a year. This is 400% a year. This is one of the strategies that wealthy people use to grow their wealth. And it's not the only thing that you should do. Those 15 investments should just represent a portion of the money you've set aside. Now, listen, you could be a very young person watching this and say, Kris, I only have $1,500 set aside, or I have $150 set aside. You could literally still do the strategy because you don't have to buy an entire share in a company. You can literally buy a fraction of a share. So the exact amount of money you want to put in. You want to put in $5? Great. You want to put in $5 million? If they're allowing it, great. So the good news is this strategy, it works, and there's definitely some massive upside. There's some huge downside, but if you follow the exact numbers that I've just given you here in time, you might look back and this might be financially one of the smartest things you ever do. Check it out. The information I've shared with you today comes right out of my book, have it all. If any of this either went over your head or you want to do a more detailed breakdown analysis of what we've talked about today, I'm giving you my book for free. This is the 5th book I've written. It is literally how you go from nothing to everything. Have It All is a journey. It's a financial philosophy of how you invest your money, and it'll show you how you can create the lifestyle that you want, see your dreams become a reality, do the humanitarian aid and the feel good and take care of your family stuff that is so important to you. It all comes down to having a real financial game plan, and all I shared today was one of 5 different strategies that I would use if I were you. Now, if you want them, the strategies are all free. Just cover the shipping and handling in the link below, and I promise you, this book, if you implement even just one of these strategies, each one of them independently has the power to get you on track financially to live the life you know that you are meant to. Hey, thank you so much for joining me on today's video. Appreciate it. Check it out. For you, your next step is to watch this video right here. The internet is fairly certain that if you watch it, you're gonna like it. And with that, make sure you're also a subscriber. I invest successfully in the... All right, let's try.